Hey guys, and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be explaining to you why a massive breakout just happened on Ethereum, what's fueling that breakout, why that breakout is confirmed and will likely send us back to all-time high, and most importantly, why Ethereum is about to rally all the way up to $7,300 in just the next few months. On top of that, we're going to see a massive breakout on Bitcoin, and we're going to be breaking all of that down in today's episode of The Climate of Crypto. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and if you want to join our trading group, where we will be trading and investing in this entire rally, make sure to sign up for 2bit with the link in the description box down below. Deposit $100 and follow the instructions in the description box, and you can get access to our Discord server for free for a year. More information on that later, but let's get started. We've got a lot to cover. This chart is absolutely gorgeous. As any of you guys that have any understanding of Ethereum will know, there has been a strong zone of resistance on Ethereum that we had triple topped at between $4,000 and $4,100. This has caused Ethereum to not be able to recapture the previous all-time high, not once in this bull market yet, at $4,800. This stands in stark contrast to what Bitcoin has done. Bitcoin has already broken far above its previous bull market all-time high at $67,000. In fact, if Bitcoin were to drop back down to $67,000 right now, that would be a bear market bottom. That'd be a 47% corrective movement. Instead, Ethereum has not even broken through its all-time high yet. So that gives us a couple of different places that we need to pause even before we analyze this breakout. Number one, that either means that Ethereum is a terrible asset and you should avoid it because it has lost a great deal of value against Bitcoin, and it's even, frankly, lost value against the dollar. Or Ethereum is an asset that has been storing up energy, living in Bitcoin's shadow, developing, becoming more adopted, and is now ready for a massive correction back to its fair market value. I'm on that side. I think Ethereum is it's in for a massive rally, and we're going to break down why exactly today. But first and foremost, let's start out with the breakout itself. A couple of days ago, on Saturday, we broke above that resistance zone between $4,000 and $4,100 that had been set over the last year and a half of this bull market so far. This could have become a wick. We could have just seen Ethereum have a drop here. But if you'll recall, about 3 weeks ago, we said that Ethereum's going to drop to one of three levels. At the most bullish case, Ethereum will drop to about $3,600. Bearish case, Ethereum will drop to about $3,300. Our base case is Ethereum will drop to about $3,400. That would be this Fibonacci level right here. We talked about that. It bottomed, it bounced, and we've basically built this giant lopsided inverse head and shoulders pattern with a giant shoulder over here. I mean, this guy, when he goes to the gym, he only works one arm. He's that weird guy, like the guy that goes in there and just trains neck. That's kind of what this dude is. He just trains one arm. And then we got this tiny little right shoulder over here on the inverse head and shoulders pattern. We're building this massive inverse head and shoulders pattern, and it's not surprising to anybody who follows our channel that we're breaking out of it because we've been talking about the price target on this for a long time. The price target on this breakout sits at $6,600, and I don't even think that's the top either. What we're seeing right now is extremely important because on the weekly chart, you have a perfect setup. Let's walk through this one at a time. First and foremost, we closed the weekly candlestick, the highest that it has closed since October of 2021. That's the first point. Second point, we back-tested the Fibonacci golden pocket. If you draw the Fibonacci retracement from $4,800 down here to the bear market bottom at $894 per Ethereum, that gives you a Fibonacci golden pocket right here at $3,350 to $3,420. This was our base case for the correction that was going on Ethereum about 3 weeks ago. I told you we'd probably drop down to about $3,400, which would backtest the 61.8 to 65% Fibonacci golden pocket. From there, we would bounce and we would go into a major rally. That is exactly to the T what just happened. So number one, we broke through the $4,000 range and closed a weekly candlestick. Number two, we're backtesting the Fibonacci golden pocket. These are incredibly bullish signals. Number three, this breakout has volume. You can see the volume is visible and massive out here, even on the weekly chart. Down here on the daily chart is no contest. The volume has been meteoric. It's been absolutely enormous, the amount of volume that Ethereum has shown over just the last few days. Okay, on top of that, however, there's one final thing I want to point out here on the chart that is very exciting. On the monthly chart and the weekly chart, Ethereum is actually not really that overextended. It's at 71 on the RSI, which albeit is high, but of course it is. Ethereum has basically tripled in the last 4 months, but it's nowhere near the kind of RSI that we saw here and here. Well, what was the market doing at these points in time? At these points in time, we saw that Ethereum was trading at $1,000, basically the previous all-time high, right? And about $4,000 in respectfully. Now Ethereum is not trading at $1,200 in the RSIs up here. Ethereum is not trading at $3,500 in the RSIs up here. Ethereum is trading at $4,500, and the RSI has not even returned to these previous levels. In fact, even if you were to draw a downtrend off of them, we're still not even to that downtrend. If we were to push the RSI to that downtrend, that would require Ethereum most likely going to at least $6,000 to get to 80 on the RSI, and there's no reason that it can't go higher because of some of the things that we're going to talk about in this video. In other words, Ethereum is going through a massive breakout, and while it might want a small correction on the daily chart, it doesn't actually need a major correction on the weekly chart, which was very surprising to me when I was doing this analysis because Ethereum has just absolutely exploded. From $1,300, it basically backtested the previous or two bull markets all-time high ago, and then we've rallied 221% from that point in time in 4 months. So you'd think that Ethereum needs to cool off here. You would think that. But we are entering into Q4 on the year following a halving. This is the same quarter where Ethereum would go through an absolutely gargantuan rally from $3,000 all the way to $5,000 in Q4 of 2021. And this is also the same respective quarter where Ethereum would go from $134 to $1,400. I'm sorry, $300 to $1,400 in one quarter. Here in quarter four, in the very beginning of quarter one of 2017 and 18. We are in the beginning of alt season, and I'm going to show you why in the next chart. But I want you to understand that Ethereum, surprisingly, is not massively overextended at these levels. In other words, Ethereum is far more confident at this level today than it was at this level back here. And if that's the case, then that means that whereas Ethereum was overvalued at $4,800, today, it is most likely undervalued. We will use that information to help us ascertain a price target towards the end of this video. But the second thing I want to point out to you is this chart. This is the Ethereum over Bitcoin dominance chart. This chart tells me two things. Number one, it tells me that if I'm holding an asset for more than 10 years, or even for more than 5 years, I probably want to be holding Bitcoin. But it also tells me that a huge breakout is about to take place on Ethereum, and it's going to most likely outpace Bitcoin. The reason for that is because Bitcoin, as we talked about recently, Ethereum compared to Bitcoin is undervalued. Ethereum has still not recaptured its previous bull market all-time high. Bitcoin is approximately almost double its previous bull market all-time high, trading at $120,000 today. This means that Ethereum has been largely left behind, and now it's going to catch up. In other words, the altcoin season is about to start, and Ethereum is probably going to be the asset that kicks that off by being the first major altcoin to go through a massive rally, and is probably going to more than double. You're going to see this play out as a break above this downtrend on the Ethereum over BTC chart. I am predicting today that Ethereum over BTC is going to go up to approximately 0.55 right here, the 0.5% Fibonacci retracement. I think that Ethereum is going to go right here. And bull case, Ethereum goes right here to the Fibonacci golden pocket. This would be a doubling of Ethereum's current price against Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes to $180,000, for example, though, this would actually be a tripling on Ethereum, which is why we're going to be talking about $7,200, $7,300 as a base case, but actually $10,000 per Ethereum in this bull market is on the table. I do not think that Ethereum is ever going to recapture 0.088 ever again. I think Bitcoin is just running away with that right now. By the time Ethereum would get there, it'd probably be trading at $20,000 a coin. So I'm not really convinced that that's going to happen, but I do think base case, we're going to go here, and bull case, we're going to go up here to the Fibonacci golden pocket, which would equate to roughly a $7,000 to a $10,000 Bitcoin. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. But I also want to explain from the fundamental side of things why this is happening. You see, back in February, Eric Trump, after assuming the White House as the one of the part of the presidential family, said that it was a good idea to buy Ethereum, and people made fun of him for that for a long time because Ethereum at the time was trading at about $3,800, and pretty much as soon as he said that, Ethereum just absolutely crashed. He doubled down and encouraged people to buy buy the dip. And you really should have listened to him. I remember when people were making fun of Eric Trump for that statement, and I did not really think that was a great idea, because Eric Trump just so happens to be the son of the President of the United States. The President of the United States, who loves the cryptocurrency market, is obviously very pro-crypto and is actively making billions of dollars of investments into Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency sector, not just into Bitcoin. He knows more about the inside information than we do. And if you had have listened to Eric Trump and bought, you would have been down 50%, and now you would be up 30%. If you had have doubled down and bought more when he said now's the time to add to the position, you would have done very well. And this speaks to how we need to approach analysis in cryptocurrency markets these days. We need to pay attention to what these politicians are saying. You need to pay attention to what the Larry Finks of the world are saying, and what Saylor's saying, and what the Trumps are saying, because they are the ones that have the insider information, and they're saying the silent part out loud. These individuals, by the way, are the same individuals who say that Bitcoin's going to over $200,000 a coin soon, and these are the same individuals, Eric Trump, by the way, who agreed with another person on a podcast that Ethereum's about to go to $8,000 a coin. Eric Trump, the guy that predicted that we were going to have this big breakout and told you to double down and buy more when we drop down to $2,000, is telling you that Ethereum's going to go to $8,000. Okay, so that's great and all, but let's look at some more data. One thing I want to point out to you that kind of builds this case even more is none other than the DeFi space. The total value locked on Ethereum is exploding. We are approaching $100 billion in total value locked on Ethereum. We are almost to the same point that we were at during the last bull market. And you've got to understand there's a lot more projects that are a lot more developed today than they were in the last bull market. Cardano didn't even have smart contracts in the last bull market. Solana was very much a smaller player in the last bull market than it is today. So Ethereum has a lot stiffer competition, but is still approaching that $106 billion TVL mark that it had. The stablecoin market capitalization is up 2% in just a week, and this is a number that's been exploding because of the Stablecoin Act. The Stablecoin Act has been exceptionally bullish for Ethereum because it is causing a huge amount of total value locked and revenues to come into ETH. You can see the total market capitalization for all the stablecoins on ETH bottomed out during the last bull market at 65 billion. Now it's up to 137 billion. And this is so important because Ethereum's base layer has a lot of different applications, but the main applications are smart contract based decentralized applications like DEXs, and it's also got the foundational infrastructure that's needed for stablecoins. Those are two of the biggest applications for Ethereum. And so with the Stablecoin Act, with stablecoins becoming extremely popular, Ethereum is going to be very successful. When we launched the first cohort, let me just tell you a story. When we launched the first cohort, for about a day, we didn't have the kind of refund and coupon code system and everything to give you a year off. So basically a bunch of people signed up. They paid $419 out of pocket, and I had to rebate them. Well, there's one person who was in, I forget which country they were in, but it might have been Germany, somewhere in Europe, and they wanted their rebate, and they wanted it done through the banking system. It was a nightmare trying to send them the $419 back to rebate them through the banking system. Total freaking nightmare. ICANN numbers and SWIFT and all this crap. It's complete nonsense. At the end of it, I was like, listen, I'm sorry, we're in crypto. Can I please just send you some money in a stablecoin? It took 5 seconds to send $419 across borders with no fees, no regulation, no oversight. It's just boom, it's done. This is the future. And it's being built on ETH. And you've got to wake up and understand that. This is going to cause a massive increase in the price of Ethereum. There's $271 billion of stablecoins in the world, and half of them are running on Ethereum. I honestly, to this day, I don't know if I've ever sent a stablecoin on any other network. I think I've used Tron before, but most stablecoins are being sent on Ethereum. And that's going to cause Ethereum to explode. I've been telling you this for a decade almost on this channel. Buying Ethereum is a little bit like buying the interstate highway system in the United States. Everything else operates on top of it. Imagine if you could build the roads, if you could buy the roads underneath the economy. That's what you're buying when you're buying Ethereum, which is why $10,000 is not a stretch. $1.2 trillion market cap for Ethereum is nothing crazy at all. And so I'm very excited about that. Now, a couple of other things I want to mention. This is a big one. There have been $1 billion of inflows into Ethereum yesterday. $1 billion of Ethereum inflows on the ETFs. The ETF inflows are going parabolic. Since May, which is only a few months ago, total cumulative inflows into the Ethereum spot ETF has gone from $3 billion to a current $11 billion. The amount of wealth that is flowing into the Ethereum ETFs are absolutely astronomical. And so with this happening, with the Trump family buying an enormous amount of Ethereum, with US retail investors buying an enormous amount of Ethereum through the ETFs, it becomes glaringly obvious that Ethereum is about to go through a major rally. You're going to see this rally on Ethereum most likely kick off an alt season, and you're going to see alt season go crazy here in a few months. And all of this is being predicated on the massive bullishness on Bitcoin. One of the last things I want to mention to you here on Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is actually very bullish right now too. We have a green, red, green formation, and albeit we did have this shooting star on Bitcoin, which I am not real too excited about either. But Bitcoin is in the middle of trying to get above $120,000. And if it does, and if we can start confidently trading above 120K, then that's going to be the green light that Ethereum really wants to go straight back to all-time high. Even if Bitcoin doesn't confidently start trading above 120K in the next few days, that's okay. And part of the reason that that's okay is because it most likely has to do with the fact that Ethereum is taking the charge right now. People are very interested in Ethereum. One thing I also want to mention to you is that Bitcoin partially closed the CME futures gap. We didn't totally close it. So there is a possible scenario in the next few days where Bitcoin needs to come back down to 117 to fill the CME futures gap at the same time that Ethereum is rallying back to all-time high because it is ridiculously bullish right now. So where do I think Ethereum is going to go? Well, we've got to keep in mind the market cap. Market cap on Ethereum right now sits at $537 billion. If we were to go to $10,000, Ethereum would most likely be seeing a market capitalization of approximately $1.2 trillion. This is well within the realm of possibility, considering Bitcoin's market capitalization stands at $2.4 trillion, and before the bull market is over, that market capitalization will likely approach and exceed at least $3.5 trillion. So $1.2 trillion on Ethereum is absolutely something that is possible. That said, we need to see Ethereum rally up to and break through all-time high, which, to be quite honest with you, I think is going to happen very soon. I want to show you the last bull market on Ethereum. The last bull market on Ethereum, when we hit all-time high at $1,400, we broke straight through it, rallied to $2,000, back-tested the all-time high, and then rallied to $4,000. Ethereum, within just a few weeks to months of breaking through all-time high, broke to a new all-time high that was 250% higher than the previous. If Ethereum were to do that, have a breakout, for example, all the way up to all-time high, have a backtest, and then break 250% above the previous all-time high, that would send Ethereum, we got to really scroll the chart out to be able to see this. That would send Ethereum, for example, up here to about $17,000. And yes, this is on the regular chart. Do I think ETH is going to $17,000? No. But what I will say is that this is an excellent time to be using Fibonacci's. And our Fibonacci's are very, very simple and obvious. The first Fibonacci extension level is the 1.618 Fibonacci extension level, and that is trading at $7,300 per coin. The second Fibonacci level, 2.618, is $11,300 per coin. And before you go saying, oh, well, Fibonacci doesn't make any sense here, Jeb, I'm actually adjusting for diminishing returns because the last Ethereum bull market perfectly hit 3.618. It was 49.41. We went to 48.53. So the previous Ethereum bull market went perfectly to 3.618. Tell me again how Fibonacci's don't work. They also work great on Bitcoin. If you draw the Fibonacci on Ethereum, it approaches $7,200, then $11,000, then $15,000. That means that Ethereum will almost certainly not go above $15,000 this bull market, and it will almost certainly not stop until it's hit at least $7,200, which gives me a price target right here. This is where I'm going to start telling you where I think Ethereum is going in this cycle. My bear case for Ethereum is a $7,200 ETH. That would be approximately a $700 billion market cap, absolutely within the realm of possibility. Our base case for Ethereum, I'm going to split the difference and call it $8,500. I think about, actually, I take that back, about $9,000. I think Ethereum's base case is sitting here at approximately $9,000. The bull case would be up here at the 2.618 Fibonacci extension level, which sits at $11,000. So again, our bear case price target for Ethereum this cycle, based on everything that we've talked about in this video and a lot more analysis that I just don't have time for because we're running really long on this piece of content, the base case is $7,200. The bear case is $7,200. The bull case is $9,000. And the bull case, the base case is $9,000 and the bull case is $11,000. That's where I think Ethereum is going to go. And so that leaves us with this Question, what do we do about that? Well, I've been holding Ethereum since it was less than $100. I bought Ethereum long ago. I bought it when it was $200 during the COVID crash. I was buying 2 Ethereum a week. It was beautiful. And I've been buying Ethereum since then. Now, as you guys know, I'm mostly in on Bitcoin, and I like it that way. But I do hold a lot of Ethereum. And so I'm very happy about that. Now is not necessarily a great time to add more if you're concerned about the fact that we've been vertical for the last 3 months. But if you believe in these price targets, naturally, a doubling on Ethereum from here is a pretty solid return. So here's my idea that I want to float. I think that Ethereum is going to break through this downtrend over here on the Ethereum over BTC chart. If it does, the amount of inflows into Ethereum are going to be astronomical. If Ethereum breaks through this downtrend, I am most likely going to be entering into a long trade on Ethereum, especially when we break the all-time high. There are really 2 major types of trades that you can do. You can do a breakout trade, which is where you are trading, the breakout, and then there's also a longing the bottom trade. You missed that one, but if we see a breakout here above $5,000, for example, then that's a pretty easy place to enter into a trade, either on spot through an investment account or on leverage through something like 2bit. To take advantage of this growth, always remembering to protect your capital, especially if you're on leverage. I don't believe that Ethereum is the best investment for the next 15 years because I believe that Bitcoin is going to outperform it. That being said, I think that Ethereum is likely going to be the faster horse for the next 4 months, so prepare accordingly. How should you prepare? Well, it's a little bit late to buy a big bag of Ethereum on spot. You can do it, but you're increasing your risk to reward ratio in the risk direction. However, it's not necessarily a bad idea to try and trade Ethereum here because there is a very obvious, very large movement that's probably about to take place. What I always recommend when you're entering into a trade on anything is you have to have a plan. It has to be an obvious setup. And you need to have a plan to protect your capital. The plan that I am looking at here is trading on long, maybe 10x leverage, holding that until we get to $6,000, $7,000, and just trying to hold that through the duration of this massive hype cycle that's about to take place. And then we can look for other trades like that on many of our favorite altcoins. For example, Cardano is looking like a great setup right now. The plan to protect our capital is we just want to make sure that we don't have more than a 10% loss. I don't want to risk more than 10% of my position in a trade. So that's pretty much how I would look at that. Now, on the other hand, we also want to make sure that we document that plan. So make sure to set it up on TradingView and make sure you have a plan for when you're going to exit. So you need to know what your price target is and when you're going to take your profits. If you want to do trading like that and take advantage of these movements, rather than just having something fun to talk about around the water cooler, about how you think Ethereum's about to go to $8,000, if you actually want to get your hands dirty and put your money where your mouth is and make some money, then I highly recommend that you join the first cohort Discord server. There's a bunch of reasons to do that. First and foremost, we have a ton of people over here that are trading every single day and making a lot of money. We've got a bunch of people that have posted 800 and 1,000% profits, right? A lot of 1,000% trades going on over here. People literally 10xing their money in the span of just a few weeks. They are all teaching and learning about how to do that every single day. And also, these videos actually go out early over here in the first cohort. So if you want to get access to this video 2 hours before it goes out on YouTube, which is important because this is up to the minute information I'm talking about here, I post these videos the second that they're uploaded in the first cohort, and then they come out at 2 p.m. on YouTube. So if you want to get access to them early, then you want to join the first cohort. But how do you join the first cohort? Well, there's one way you can do it. You can click the link down below and pay $419 a year because it's definitely worth at least that. Oh my goodness. There's a lot of people over here making tens of thousands of dollars. But I want to give it to you for free because I want to meet you. It's that simple. I love you and I want to get to know you. And so I made it free. But the way that you got to do it is a bit of a catch. You need to sign up for 2bit. This is the exchange that we use. This is where I'm doing my trading. This is where all of our traders do their trading. And if you sign up for 2bit and deposit $100 and you send proof of that deposit to MalachiPats@CryptoJub.com, instructions in the description box down below, we will give you 1 year of free access to the first cohort. And you will get the link to join and stay in the Discord server after you join. And when you deposit $100 on 2bit, you're also going to get $30 in rewards for free. So you just instantly turned $100 into $30. 30% isn't bad, right? You're also going to get $50 just for registering. And when you do $1,000 of trading on perps, you're also going to double this $50 into $100. So if you sign up for 2bit with the link in the description box down below, you will more than double your $100 into $230 almost instantly. And you'll get access to the first cohort trading group, FCTG, for a year for free. That is a really great deal. So if you want to join our Discord server for free, All you got to do is sign up for 2bit. After you join, take a screenshot of your $100 deposit and your UID, send it to MalachiPats@CryptoJeb.com. He will respond with a coupon code to join the first cohort for free for a year through Teachable. And I would love to meet you and you to meet all of our other trading members in the first cohort trading group. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, stay tuned for more content, and tell me, what is your plan to take advantage of the run of the decade on Ethereum? It's about to get real in here, and I want to trade it with you. So join the Discord server. I'd love to meet you. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.